And welcome to this project risk management technique where we will be reviewing expert interviews. This is presented by Marlene Nunez for PRM 614 at St. Mary's University of Minnesota. That I'm going to be presenting, we're going to start with defining what expert interviews are. We're going to be looking at some of its usage and approaches. And then I'm going to be looking at an example and a study that was used utilizing expert interviews. Nearly all risk analysis techniques require some expert judgment. However, it can sometimes be difficult to distinguish between good and bad judgment. Judgment is defined as judgment being provided based upon expertise in an application area, a knowledge area, a discipline, an industry, etc., as appropriate for the activity being performed. Such expertise may be provided by any group or person with specialized education, knowledge, skill, experience, or training. Expert judgment as a technique. Expert judgment may seem easier than perhaps a quantitative method, but you're inviting someone that may have specialized knowledge into your inner circle to help you look at things in different ways. Experts should be able to identify the weaknesses of the tools as well as their strengths. Can expert judgment be used in the project timeline? Although expert judgment can be used at any point in time in the project, it is first recommended for all projects, and it is most useful in risk identification, but it can be used in other project areas. Some of the major steps that we take in utilizing expert judgment during this risk identification portion is to identify a suitable individual, prepare for the interview, target the interest area, solicit judgments and general information, and qualify and quantify the information. In looking at who can provide expert judgment, pretty much almost anyone who has a knowledge base can provide expert judgment. The key is if the PM utilizes the knowledge that he is obtaining and utilizes his time correctly. The danger of not utilizing expert judgment correctly is if the PM and team does not understand the information and goes over their time budget, which can go over cost in the project. Therefore, understanding and making the information usable for the project is critical. So I'm going to take a little break here and let you guys read through this little comic strip. I will read the box at the bottom, which states that starting a project on the right foot by having enough resources right from the get-go is important. Getting expert advice from people who have worked on similar projects is crucial. Without this information, the project is less likely to succeed. And I'm going to talk about has to do with usage and how we're going to use our inputs and outputs. So first off, two prerequisites to making sure that we're effectively using our expert judgment is the interviewer must be prepared and know their research. The interviewee must be willing to spend time necessary to disclose all information. The results from the expert interviews can be qualitative, quantitative, or both. Now, according to the PMBOK, expert judgment is used with the probability and impact matrix to assess the risks. The matrix can be set up with values by the organization before the project even begins. Expert judgment can affect many different documents and how the risks are handled. As you can see here on the probability and impacts matrix, the probability of something occurring goes up this way, and the impact scale moves this way. Now, the interesting part is that risks are both threats and opportunities. So here in the middle of the chart, you could see that right here, the numbers are the same, 0.05, 0.10, 0.20, 0.40, 0.80. And then in here, they go down 0.80, 0.40, 0.20, 0.10, and 0.05. I have my bachelor's degree in environmental studies, and part of the project that I have been doing with the swim lane fake project has been actually trying to make the build of the interior of the ship very green focused and green building. And when I came across this article, I read the whole entire article. I thought it was fascinating. And then I realized there's a portion in there where they were actually talking about how they used expert judgment in their expert interviews in their study. So I thought it was interesting to kind of bring in this study and just show you an example of how it was used. So the title of the article, in case anybody would like to go look for it, is Facilitating Effective Green Procurement in Construction Projects, an empirical study of the enablers. This study focused on green building and green procurement, and it used two tools in its research, surveys and expert interviews. One of the best quotes that I found that relates really strongly with project management and that relates with the article and really hit a chord with me is the following quote. The traditional golden triangle of cost, time, and quality, rather than the environmental aspects, is considered the benchmark of project performance, a view that hinders the development of green procurement. So I really wanted to give you guys from this study a really core example of exactly what they did in using their interviews with expert practitioners, as they call it here. So I'm just going to try and read through this so you can actually get a sense of what they did. As the interviews require in-depth knowledge and rich experience about green procurement implementation in the construction sector, purposive sampling was adopted to select an appropriate group of experts. 3 criteria were used to select eligible participants for the focus group. Have substantial working experience in planning, designing, or managing green roof projects in Hong Kong. Example, over 5 to 7 years. Number 2 was have direct involvement in any green procurement work in an existing or recent construction project. And number 3, having good knowledge and understanding of green procurement. So they actually showed us the kind, it's almost like you're looking at a resume and looking for these points of the people that they're looking for. A total of 7 practitioners. So I really wanted to give you guys from this study a really core example of exactly what they did in using their interviews with expert practitioners, as they call it here. So I'm just going to try and read through this so you can actually get a sense of what they did. As the interviews require in-depth knowledge and rich experience about green procurement implementation in the construction sector, purposive sampling was adopted to select an appropriate group of experts. 3 criteria were used to select eligible participants for the focus group. Have substantial working experience in planning, designing, or managing green roof projects in Hong Kong. This presentation. Any questions? Make sure you call an expert.